welcome or welcome back to my channel, Lydia Lost the Plot. It is amazing to see you all back here and to see how much this channel is growing. It's just so much fun to do, so thank you very much. You may hear Cassie, she's running around in the background as per usual. Today I thought I would do my best books of the year so far. I'm seeing everybody coming out with their best books and it's so much fun, and let me tell you, it's adding to this TBR behind me like you would not believe. And I really enjoy these videos. I love watching them, so I thought I'd make my own. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, my top 5. I thought I'd do 5. Everyone seems to be doing 5. But I've done 5, and I also have an honourable mention. Now, let me explain. So I haven't been on BookTube very long at all, and I've only just done a full month. And so what I wanted to do was let you guys know what my favourite read of last year was, because this book is so dear to me and I feel like I want to shove it in the hands of everybody. And because I've not had a chance to talk about it on this channel yet, because it's just not come up and it's not been relevant to videos, I really wanted to highlight it today. So the book that I am talking about is Shark Heart by Emily Habeck. Now this is the most wondrous, fantastical, beautiful love story you will ever read. I cannot explain to you how much this book has changed my perception on love and commitment, and my perception of what true love and what being a partner really is. It's gorgeous. The prose is beautiful. The story is just so brilliantly done, and I cannot believe that this hasn't got to more people. When I talk about this in my bookshop, everybody wants to buy it because it is so amazing. The premise of it is now stay with me, okay? The premise of it is that there is a husband and wife. I know. And the husband has a terminal illness. Now, the illness is going to turn him into a great white shark. I know, it's bonkers. It's absolutely bonkers. But when I tell you that it's just so wonderful, if you just give it a chance, don't think about the fact that he's turning into a great white shark, and look at it for all of its beauty and its wonder, and it's just so evocative, heartrending and beautiful. There's no other word for it. It's the actual personification of beauty. So if you haven't yet got this on your radar, if you haven't even heard of it, please add it to your TBR. This was my favourite book of 2023, and I really want to reread it in 2024 just because it is so wonderful. So that is Shark Heart by Emily Habeck. It's amazing. I love this book so much. But getting on to 2024 and my favourite reads, I've tried to go for a book not from every single month, because that's not the point of it, but it tends to have been the 5 that I've got kind of like throughout the year, which is quite nice actually, because it means that I've not been long without a 5-star read. I have sort of struggled with my 5-star reads this year. I have stuck to fiction as well. There are 2 non-fiction reads that I will give honourable mentions to, which are Sociopath by Patrick Gadney, and which is a memoir, and The Wager by David Gran, which are 2 fantastic non-fiction reads. But I only have 2, and I didn't feel like it was relevant to put them in with this list because these are fiction titles only. But yeah, but I think that they're a good mix of genre, and they're all just books that I want to recommend and have been recommending. I work in a bookshop, so I've been recommending these to customers, and they're also books that I want to revisit, or books that I have not been able to stop thinking about. These are books that have really stuck with me. Now, those of you that follow along and those of you that know me know I am stingy with my 5 stars. I mean, you've got to be covered in gold for me to give you a 5-star. All these books on this list are 5 stars because they are just phenomenal books. So I will start with Greta and Valdin by Rebecca K. Riley. This is not only up for the Waterstones Debut Fiction Prize, but it is on so many people's radar. I have seen it all over BookTok, all over Bookstagram, and I just think it's so worthy of that place. It's funny, it's witty, it's heartwarming, it's just so touching and tender, but also just a great exploration of family dynamics, a great exploration of what it's like to be a modern person, like how we have to live in this contemporary world. And it's set in New Zealand. It's about 2 siblings, Greta and Valdin, and about how they navigate their life and their absolutely bonkers family. And I love their family. Their dad in particular, hot dad alert, hot dad. I mean, I don't know what he really is to look at, but my gosh, he's just brilliant. The way that he speaks to his kids is fantastic. But yeah, if you are looking for a read that's going to be fun and enjoyable and you're going to devour in one sitting, Greta and Valdin is for you, let me tell you, because it is so good. I loved this book, and I really think that it does stuff that that other people have attempted this year in books that I've read, to be witty and acerbic and irreverent, but at the same time have heart. And it's so hard to do that nobody's done it successfully for me other than Rebecca K. Riley, because this is so good. And it's such a delicate balance and such a hard line to tread, and yet she does it with absolute kind of deftness of skill. It's so good. But yeah, that is Greta and Valdin by Rebecca K. Riley. The next book that I have on my list, well, this will not come as a surprise to anybody. These are not in any order, by the way. I'm refusing to put them in an order until my last video where I do my top 10 books, because this will change. The next book is Headshot by Rita Bullwinkel, the most incredible debut I've read this year. It's so packed with action, with just these characters that are just absolutely phenomenally written. I can't tell you what it's like when you read this book, because her powers of description, like, you know exactly what this girl is like, because there's many different girls in this, but what one of the girls is like, because she wears a hat that that is made of an animal, and the minute she wears this hat, you just know who she is. You just have her pegged. She's amazing. And it's just so innovative and evocative of girlhood and what it's like to come of age and have to navigate these worlds. But it's set during a boxing tournament, and it's kind of structured in the way that the fights are. So you go from the first bracket where there's 8 boxes, and then it gradually goes down to the final where there's 2. I think I can show you. It starts off with sort of like this, where it says like Daughters of America Cup, Bob's Boxing Palace, and then inside this is the first lineup of matches, and then we go through each match. It's just phenomenal. It's so bold and so brutal that I've never read anything like it, and I think that is kind of the theme that's going on with these books. Ignore Cassie, she's jumping all over the place. But this is kind of the theme with these books, which is that it does something that I haven't read before. And I've read a lot of books. I have to read a lot of books for work. I'm a bookseller. It's my profession to read books, to read them, to be able to sell them. And so I read a heck of a lot of books. And when a book surprises me, when I feel like I have no idea what this author's going to do, even if it's not completely like perfect, to be surprised is the most wondrous thing as a reader, don't you think? I just enjoy it so much. And this was exactly that. If you are not quite sure about this book, if you think, oh my god, boxing, I can't deal with a book about boxing, first of all, it's not about the boxing, but also go and check out the New York Times podcast, book podcast. Their most recent episode is a book club episode dedicated purely to Headshot by Rita Bullwinkel. It's one of their best books of the year as well, and they put it very succinctly and a lot better than I did in a summary, but also they chat about the great stuff inside this book without spoilers as well, which is really good. So if you are still on the fence, which is why should you be, get off that bloody fence, but if you are still on that fence, listen to that, and I'm sure this will persuade you to add it to your TBR, because it's so good. The next book that I have on my best books of the year so far is in Ascension by Martyr MacInnes. Now, I do love a good sci-fi novel, but I wouldn't call myself a sci-fi, boffin. I don't know that much about it. I know a few and I enjoy a few, but this is just incredible. It's not really sci-fi, it's very literary. I mean, it is sci-fi, but it's literary sci-fi. It's about the characters, it's about their lives, and it's primarily about one woman it's kind of set in the distant future, where there's a lot of flooding due to climate change, and she's a biologist, and she sort of gets the chance to explore a very, very deep trench in some water in the ocean, and something happens. It's so good. It's got like All Wives Under the Sea by Julia Armfield vibes. It's a bit interstellarish if you've watched that. It's got loads of great sci-fi tropes, but that are done in, again, an imaginative way. So this isn't your bog standard sci-fi, single lone female at the end kind of Ripley and Alien kind of situation. This is so much more than that, and ultimately it is an exploration of, you guessed it, grief and death. My favorite subjects, but it is very much an exploration of character and about personality and about, it's just so good. It's just so good. And I'm really upset because I walked past Martyr MacInnes signing copies of this in Waterstones and Deansgate once, and I didn't stop to get my copy signed because I don't know, I think I got overwhelmed. And I should have. I don't know why I did. But anyway, Martin, if you're watching, come sign me book. But it's a great sci-fi. If you are into sci-fi, if you're into horror, if you're into literary fiction, it's going to tick all of them boxes. So add it to your TBR now. And then the next book that I've just dropped one. The next book, I'm so clumsy, that I wanted to chat about today, and that is on my best books of the year so far, is The Ferryman by Justin Cronin. In many ways similar, some similar themes to in Ascension. I think there's a slight similarity in the fact that they are based on grief and loss. But what Justin Cronin does incredibly well is it's got this kind of Truman Show-esque feel and vibe to the whole of the book. You don't quite know what's real and what's not, where you stand, and I love that. I felt off kilter the whole way through. I was sort of like, what is going on? But in the best way, not in a feeling lost way, but in like a I will go with this narrative, you can carry me anywhere kind of situation, which I think is so hard to do. Again, it's that fine line between keeping the reader guessing but also keeping the reader engaged, and I think that can be a very delicate balance, and Justin Cronin does that really well. I'm interested in reading the Passage trilogy now that I've read this, because this is so good. I mean, it's also beautiful, but I would be interested to get to more of his work, because this was just so good. It was a Waterstones sci-fi book of the month, and that's why I got to it. That's why I read it, and I'm so glad I did, because it was absolutely brilliant. It's pacey, it's full of content, it's full of adventure and kind of great sink your teeth into it characters. And it's a story and a narrative that I think, first of all, is very original, but also I think is executed with such skill. It's so well plotted and so well thought out, and the world building in it is phenomenal. It's minimal, so it doesn't feel like this massive fantasy world where you've got, like, you know, lore and maps and freaking I mean, I love fantasy. I do. I love a good fantasy novel, but my gosh, I think you can have too many maps. Do you know what I mean? A bit too many maps. Whereas this, you don't need a map. Although I think it might have a map in, she says. But yeah, I think it's just such a dazzling book, and I think you will love it. If you love Stephen King, I think he said it was exciting, mysterious, and totally satisfying, which it is. So if you don't believe me, believe the King. Exciting, mysterious, and totally satisfying. So that is definitely one that I think will be featuring on my top 10. But you never know, because I think there's so many books that I want to get to in this next half of the year, that any of these could be completely knocked out of the top 10. I think it would be very hard to knock Headshot out of the top 10, but I'm just saying, don't count your chickens. And last but by no means least, and again, this is in no order, it's Martyr by Kaveh Akbar. I loved this book. This is also on the Waterstones debut fiction prize. Loads of these are debuts, actually. But if you haven't already watched half of me videos where I've been wanged on about this, then you can go back and watch them, because I talk about this a lot more in detail there. But this is a book that's ultimately about a man called Cyrus and his quest to understand who he really is, and what happened to his mother. I won't go any further into it than that, other than that it also has a plane crash and very, very cool art. I'm trying not to give anything away, but it's so good. It's so beautiful. There are just gorgeous lines in it. I'll see if there's anything that I can read out to you that's not spoilery, because it's just, I don't know, he has this way with words that's like just amazing. So I'll read this little bit, which is about sobriety. Cyrus, the protagonist, is a recovering addict. The iron law of sobriety, with apologies to Leo Tolstoy. The stories of addicts are all alike, but each person gets sober their own way. Addiction is an old country song. You lose the dog, lose the truck, lose the high school sweetheart. In recovery, you play the song backward, and that's where things get interesting. Where'd you find the truck? Did the dog remember you? What did your sweetheart say when they saw you again? When I got sober, it wasn't because I punched a cop or drove my car into a Burger King or anything dramatic like that. I had a dozen bottoms that would have awakened any reasonable person to the severity of the problem. But I was not a reasonable person. I know. And it's all like that. It's all so good. Literally, I could put quotes of this on my bedroom wall, like proper fangirling, because it is just so amazing. Kaveh Akbar, you can tell he's a poet. You can tell that he's got this understanding of addiction, that he's got this understanding of sobriety, and recovery, and that this is written from the perspective of someone that knows loss. It's just phenomenal. I can't get over how great this is, and I can't stop talking about it. So if you haven't yet got this and you're wavering about it, stop wavering. Get it read. It's so good. But I love it. And yeah, it's just, I think you won't regret reading this. You really won't. So altogether, that is my list of my best books of the year so far. I will hold them up because this is what people do in videos and I always forget to do it. Hang on, I've got to put them in the right order, haven't I? Well, they're not even in an order, but you know, size order. Hang on. She's a booktuber. But yeah, it's been so much fun trying to pick these books, and also really quite difficult. I had to be harsh on a couple, and like I said, I do have non-fiction books as well, but there's only really been 2 this year that I've loved. So I'll probably have a list of maybe 5 best non-fiction reads by the end of the year, but you never know, I might have more. So we'll see. But yeah, so I got distracted then. There was a man being full on dragged by a dog. I mean, he was trying to style it out like that dog was not taking him for a walk, but let me tell you, they were, he's not gonna make it home. Anyway, I digress. I got distracted. Something shiny. But I've had such a fun time, and I hope that you've enjoyed watching these, and I hope that some of these will be added to your radar. Please tell me in the comments down below which books you want to get to, or if you've read any of them and you agree. Don't tell me if you disagree, that's boring, but if you agree and you like them too. But I would love to see your own lists. Please tell me what your favourite book of the year so far is. Let me know what it is so I can add it to my pile. And I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day. So thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Bye bye.